I can get.
We're live. All right. Hey guys, my name is Brie Hollingshead, and I am my Paranormal road trip with Brie. And I go to historically haunted locations. And what I do is I find the history and I find the haunting information that go live across all my platforms. Like I am right now, and Ashley is helping me, so thank you so much. So I'm totally winning this right now. Figure I'd make it fun for everybody involved. So what got me started with my paranormal road trips is I actually went through a divorce. And I've dealt with the paranormal since I was 6 years old. That's when I saw my first full body apparition. And come to find out it was my great grandmother who I had seen. So I've dealt with paranormal my whole life. But I just went through a divorce this year. And my teenage sons actually sat me down. And they were like, Mom, it's time for you to focus on your passion. You've always had a passion for the paranormal. Why don't you start pursuing it and go for it? So I started going to events, would go to Paracons, and got invited to an event. And I was actually going down to North Carolina, to the USS North Carolina for an event. And I pulled off to a rest stop. And while I was there, I just had this feeling that I should document my trip and I should go to different locations. So I started off in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, and of course went and saw the Mothman, rode the Shiny Hiney. Went from there because it was Friday, and Project Fear was doing their second episode where they were doing the sleeping arrangements at Sweet Springs. I decided to head over to Sweet Springs Sanatorium. Got some pictures there, went to the battleship, and on my way back, my friends, Spooky Appalachia, they actually messaged me and they were like, hey, you need to go to St. Albans and you need to hit Trans-Allegheny. So I went to those locations and hit them up, and I posted everything over to Twitter. Well, I guess you could have that, it's Twitter. It's Twitter. I don't care what you say, it's always going to be Twitter. So, posted it there, and everybody absolutely loved it. Hello, come on in, you can join. No, you are fine. Thank you for joining. Thank you for coming. So I'm just talking right now about how I got my start with my paranormal road trips. I've only been doing them, actually, my first day on the road was June 30th, just so you guys know. The actual event that I went to at the battleship was July 1st, and my day on my way home was July 2nd. When I posted everything to Twitter, it lit up. Everybody was asking, when are you going again? Started giving me suggestions for locations that I should go to. So the following weekend, I just went around the state of Ohio. That's where I'm from. I actually live down south towards the Cincinnati area. So the very first place that I went to on that Saturday was I went to Prospect Place. And I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's in Trinway. Actually, the Ghost Brothers have been there. Ghost Adventures did a huge thing. If you go up into the attic, there's actually a cross that's painted on the wall because supposedly there was a big pentagram. The rumors are that a bunch of satanic rituals and practices have happened in the upstairs of that home. If you go through the history, the home was built in the 1700s. It's actually got a cupola in the very top of it, and it was used on the Underground Railroad. Now, what they would do is with Prospect Place is they would light up the candles, and when the candles were lit in the cupola, the slaves would know that they had a safe place to go to. And you can actually go into the basement of this place now, and you can see the different rooms that the slaves would hide in. If the lights were out, they would know that they would have to keep going into the next location or stay put until the lights would go on. Now, the man who actually owned the home, there was a slave trader who would hunt down these runaway slaves, and he'd been paying attention to the house. And he went and confronted the homeowner. And, the homeowner's like, of course you're not doing this, what do you think you're doing, get off my property. Well, he went to these two leads out in the barn, and they, told him, or he told them what was going on. They actually went to the location that this gentleman was at, took him, brought him back to the property, and hung him in the barn. Now, if you ever watched the Ghost Brothers episode, they actually bring cadaver dogs in and they hit locations within this barn where they think that this body could possibly be buried within. There's a lot of apparitions that are seen. You can hear singing in the basement still. I've actually got pictures of faces in the windows from when I was there in the daytime. You walk in and you can feel it. Like they actually have a servants' quarters that you can go into. And there's a lot more back history on it, but this is just the general information for the location. So from this location, they actually suggested that I go to a town that the whole center of the town is supposed to be haunted. And I can't actually remember the name. I've gone, this whole book is actually filled with every location I've gone to every weekend since July. So I've actually got, right here is the barn for Prospect Place. And this is the opera house where there is a lot of activity. I wasn't able to get inside. It's actually used as a movie theater now. But the volunteers that were at Prospect were telling me, you've got to hit this place. They gave me a bunch of locations to go to. So I went from there, walked this there, actually went from there to Newark, Ohio, and Licking County. And there's the Licking County Jail. You also have the courthouse, which has reports of apparitions, voices. You've got the Midland Theater. The Midland Theater, I believe, has been on Ghost Hunters. A couple other shows have done episodes there as well. There is a homestead that is actually used where they still dress up in period clothing from time to time and do reenactments. They do special dinners, and they were supposed to have a graveyard. And I remember we were walking around looking for this graveyard, and what's sad is the only thing that's left is the one headstone memorializing the family. Where the rest of the graves have gone since then, I don't know. But, and then the following day, I went to Ohio State Reformatory, OSR. If you guys have ever seen Shawshank Redemption, it is known as the Shawshank Prison. That prison was actually, I remember, in early 1990s, it was actually shut down. I remember watching on the news, they were taking the prisoners out and they were closing the doors. The day it was actually due for demolition, the producers from Shawshank showed up and they were like, no. We want to keep this, we want to use this. And so it was that movie that funded and kept this prison, this historical landmark, alive in Ohio. The prison was also used, if you've seen Air Force One, it was also used in Air Force One. You can walk through it and you will see all of like the Stalin pictures that are still painted on the walls from where they do the prison scenes. So, in the broad daylight,
and music videos.
Yes, and music videos. What was that, Lil Wayne or
Lil Wayne something gold?
Yeah. There's a jail cell that if you still go there, it's still done up for the music video that he did there. It's all painted gold. It's blinged out. It's amazing. I actually went during the day to highlight it, and this is before I started doing my lives. When I first started doing this, I would just take still pictures and post it across all my platforms. The more popular my posts and my travels became, that's when I realized I needed to start going live. So what I do now is I actually go live from locations. So that way, because I realize that there's people out there that for health reasons, financial reasons, distance, not everybody on the West Coast is going to be able to afford to come over to the East Coast, So I go live from the locations. That way I can make it real and I can bring it to you. I also get, my viewers, they're able to say, hey, I'd like you to do X, Y, and Z. I'd like, what if you did this? They're able to ask questions about the locations that I go to. I go live from events, like I've been live today. I am live right now. Hello, all my loves. So, my dues. Follow all my dues. So, I even do lives from investigations now. So like when I go to haunted locations, I will go live from the location. I will actually push my limits and do isolation sessions. I will go anywhere from a half hour up to an hour, if not longer. I came here in August and did 2 isolation sessions here. I was actually in the trunk room down the hall, and I was also in a room in the basement.
I would have loved to record your reactions.
If you go to the basement, you see where the ramp is and where the van is parked. There's actually a room off to the side. When I did that isolation, I had all the lights off except for the hallway light because I was terrified I was going to trip over the tripod with the security camera on it and like have to replace like a very expensive camera. But I'm sitting in the very far right-hand corner, and as I'm sitting there, like I couldn't tell, like, I know there's a different word for it, but I'm just going to say matrixing because my brain is still not fully functioning today. And I kept seeing shadow play on the door from where the light was. So I was like, well, I'm going to go turn this light off. When I went and turned the light off, I was walking back and I could hear the chair I had just been sitting in. I could hear it start dragging across the floor. And I was like, I don't feel like I'm supposed to go back in this room right now. Like it felt oppressive, like there was something standing in the doorway, like you can't come back in here. Well, at the same time, I'm hearing boots run up behind me. And one of my viewers was watching and he's like, you need to watch your back. I have no clue what he's seeing behind me. So like, I literally won't lie, I went back against the wall. You know, will I run from a location? I will not. I refuse to let something like that, push me out. Because you have to understand the history of your locations. This is what is so important, and I think a lot of people miss, is that the history of your location is going to play into the activity that you have. A lot of people are like, oh, it's demonic, it's this, it's that. No, it's not. Like if you look at Edinburgh Manor, I always say that wrong, sorry. It was a poor farm. They said that there's an entity there called the Joker. I was actually doing a walkthrough live from that location, and as I'm getting ready to walk into a room, and I happen to be talking about the Joker at the time, and normally he is dealt with in the basement. We're talking about the Joker. I'm getting ready to walk into the room where a teenager had been sexually assaulted on multiple occasions by this staff. And as we were walking in, my hand started burning. I ended up handing my stuff off, and on my live, you can actually see a welt show up on my hand. It's burning. It's one single scratch. People are like, oh, it's demonic. This is what you gotta understand with poor farms, and a lot of people don't understand. With poor farms, it was a single family that would take care of the home. You would have your farm hands out there, like you would have your farmlands. So people like, I hate to use the word, but the degenerates of society is who would be dropped off here. So you would have your homeless, like if back then women could not own land. So if their husband died, guess what? And no family could take over the property, they've lost their property. The women and the children were now put into a poor farm. So you've got that. You also have the people who got in trouble with the law. They'd be put into a poor farm as well, and they'd be working off their debt to society. Now, at some point in time, because the family can't control everything, you've got the men's wing, you've got the women's wing, but are they able to fully take care and manage of who is where and what is going on? Not necessarily. So over time, you've got sexual assaults that are happening. You've got abortions that are happening in these buildings. You've got murders that are happening. You've also got people, like say as a woman, if I didn't make my husband the food that he wanted for dinner that night, or I wore the wrong colored socks and I thoroughly pissed him off because I was wearing yellow when he wanted red, guess what? The next day he could drop me off and I would become a warden of said poor farm. So, women's rights, right? But here's the thing too, is that with these poor farms, as they evolved through society and through time, you now have the mentally ill being brought in. People don't understand Tourette's, they don't understand Alzheimer's, they don't understand dementia, they're not understanding, depression, anxiety, bipolar. This is all stuff that is off the radar. They're not coming to terms and understanding. These are people that need treatment. Do they necessarily need medication? I'm not a doctor. That's not my place to say. You can come on in. All right. So what's going on too is that when you've got people that have mental illness, to say if they're deaf, they can't speak. If you're getting a scratch, what if that person is still there? Because their fondest memories are of this location. What if that's the one place that they knew as home? And so the spirit has come back because this is their home, but they still can't talk. But what if they were somebody who would typically, they would knock on a wall, or they would throw something, or they would grunt at you, or what if they even scratch to try and get your attention? You gotta keep that stuff in consideration when you're in these locations. Not everything that happens is always going to be demonic. And that's one thing that as I'm doing my lives, as I'm going to these locations, I'm trying to bring awareness to, because a lot of people are just like, oh, this happened, that happened. But you gotta dive into the history. A lot of people don't wanna dive into it. I want a clean slate. I totally respect that. In no way, shape, or form am I gonna say that's bad. But when you're going to a property that has the horrific history of a horse farm, of it evolving into a senior living facility like that property had, and it was closed in 2011, there's so much at play. You got to really take all of it into consideration. So that's one of my biggest things is I want to everybody as I'm doing my lives as well. You can't just have your blinders on and think it's so easy, especially if you're depending on what your religious background.
Yeah.
Okay.
Call your aunt.
I'm live, you guys. Don't call me.
It's your aunt.
Jesus, she always does that. I love you. But you gotta figure out, education needs to be done. A lot of, you can't, especially with the stigmas that are coming off the paranormal, especially with the doors that are opening. We've got more paracons, we've got more people that are trying to get into the field. You got, with my paranormal road trips, it's evolved from going to locations and taking pictures. Now I'm doing the lives. Now I'm going to events. My biggest thing is I want to educate people as much as I can about the location, so that way they understand what they're walking into. You don't have to like the information I'm giving you, but you can't deny facts. I'm not going to give you anything other than the facts that I can find, and if I can't, I'm going to let you know this is what I can find, but I can't verify it. I will give you the best information to my ability because you need that information. I think if you're going to go in and have a successful investigation, there's going to be things that you're not going to understand. You got to understand that also when you go into certain locations, because of an obsession with the satanic occult, and dabbling with witchcraft that people have done, they went into abandoned buildings. You're going to have things that are conjured, and you need to make sure that you're prepared to deal with that when you do go into locations. I've been into 3 locations now where I know for a fact something is conjured. And it is oppressive, and it can be nasty, and it will want to attack, and you gotta make sure you know how to protect yourself when you're in those situations.
Or have friends that do.
Yes, or have friends that do, yes. So, my other thing though is that with me going to these locations, not only and going live, not only am I trying to make it real to those who might not health-wise, financially distance, be able to come to these locations, I'm also trying to encourage. We just came out of COVID where everything was locked down, and we lost so many locations that were loved and supported by the paranormal community. And because a lot of people are still living in that bubble of fear, we're on the verge of losing a lot more. These are places that depend, because we are living in a society where history doesn't mean that much anymore, unfortunately. How many national, if you pay attention, I go to a lot of Civil War battlefields, and I will be the only card in the visitor center. I will go to 1812 battlefields, and I'm the only one there, and the visitor center is supposed to be open, and it's shut tight because they're not getting the visitors that they should. So my goal is to try to it's not just to make it live for everybody to enjoy, but I'm trying to encourage people and highlight these locations and say, hey, come look, come enjoy. If you're gonna spend your money, come spend it here. We don't even teach 9/11 in school. My kids just graduated high school. They don't really know much about 9/11. if they don't know much about 9/11, how are they gonna know about a war that happened in 1864, let alone 1812? So I'm trying to encourage people, make your bucket list. My God, I'm walking out my bucket list right now, you know? And it's great to have a bucket list. Keep adding to it, but go and live it. Get off the couch, make your trips. Don't say, oh my God, that's a 2-hour drive. But what if you brought your kids with you? That's 2 hours of family time. You're building your relationships with your family. You're strengthening your family at that point, you know? And you're able to go and invest into a property that needs the investment. You know, these places will not be here if we don't love them and support them. You know, so it is up to us whether we're in the paranormal community or not. You know, that is a burden that we need to feel, and we need to make sure that we're loving on these locations and these property owners. So that's my biggest thing, is that I really want people to go and experience, go enjoy. And if I can do that with my lives and with the posts that I do and with my trips that I take, then by God, let's do it. You know, I just came off my longest trip, 12 states, 2 weeks and 2 days. I'm actually getting ready to go on my next one, which will start October 20th. I'm gonna be starting off at the Hinsdale House for 3 days and 2 nights. So, never
Buckle
been
up.
there.
I've been there 5 times. Buckle up.
Okay. I've never been. I'm actually quite excited. I was invited out by a team. My birthday was September 28th, so I just turned 43. And as a birthday gift, they were like, come, you can just make a donation. So I'm really excited to go and hang out with this team and meet some new people, be able to network. And I gotta remember to bring apples for the giving tree from what I've been told. So I'm gonna go do that. And from there, I am going to New England. I've always wanted to go to New England. That has been a huge bucket list, especially around Halloween. And a lot of people that I know, they only get to see it on Travel Channel, highlights, and what? The spring, the summer. You follow along with me, and I'm gonna be able to bring it live to you. I plan on hitting Salem. I will be walking the whole town of Salem. So I might even do that in 2 days. I'm gonna be going to Sleepy Hollow. There's a few sanatoriums that I'm gonna be heading up. There's a few hospitals that I'll be heading up. I've actually got other people in the paranormal that are coming to me, and they're like, look, we're gonna take you here. You know, so you're gonna see a lot of collaborations on this trip as well with people that are based out in New England.
A collab coming soon.
And then I'm ending that on a 11. So I'm going to be ending that actually at it's the first year for the East Coast Para Expo at Hartsoft Hall. VIP day is going to be on the 4th, and then on the 5th is going to be the actual Paracon. So I'll get a chance to finally meet Matt Warner and get to be a part of the Warner Preservation Society that day. So I'm extremely excited. This Paracon is actually set up to help the network and to help those. We got Nick in the house.
Say hi.
He's out of solitary confinement, you
They
guys.
let you out. They let him out.
They let him out. But so I was like, this Paracon, if you are in New England, let me tell you, it is important that you guys go to this Paracon. It is the first year. This is actually for the up and coming, for the new, for those that are trying to make the mark, for those that are trying to help the community. Come out, enjoy time. There's going to be some amazing vendors out there. I will be a part of it. So Matt's going to be there. I know that Hannah's going to be there. You're going to have Drew, who's an amazing photographer with Dark Raven Photography. You're also going to have the Haunted Raven, who's going to be representing as well. There are so many fabulous vendors that are going to be there. So for my people that are live, if you're East Coast, I better see you. We better get selfies. You better show some love. For you guys, I welcome and invite you if you're able to make this trip. I think that it's something that you will not want to miss. It's going to be an absolutely amazing time. So, yes.
You have someone asking one more
Yes.
time. Where is it?
Where is it? It's going to be at Hartsoft Hall. I do not know the actual. It's in New England. I'm sorry, you guys.
And when?
When? It's going to be November 5th. So, and November 4th is actually the VIP. They are going to be doing an investigation there. So I was the first person to buy my ticket. I haven't been there. I'm excited. I'm hoping they let me go live so I can bring it to all of you. If you guys want to stop by my table, I've got business cards that has all my information, so you can add me, like me, follow me that way. Make sure you turn your alerts on. That goes for you guys too. Make sure your alerts are turned on so you don't miss. This trip is going to be the longest one. I will be going on 3 weeks with this trip. 3. Starting October 20th and ending the first week of November. We're probably going to hit a full 3 weeks on this because
And seriously.
Yeah, and you guys are going to see me with IVs, and I might even snort some coffee grounds just for shits and giggles, okay? So, yes, but it's going to be an amazing trip, and a lot of people are like, how are you doing this? I'm going to be honest. I've got a fuel efficient carpool, or two. A lot of people in the paranormal community have graciously offered me their couches, spare bedrooms for me to be able to go and do this because they see the importance of my trips that I take and how the community has been positively affected by this. I am known by Paranormal Road Trippin with Brie, but everything I do is hashtag right across the boobs. It's all right. This is the one time you're allowed to look, okay? I will give you permission. Everything is be like Brie, because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to encourage you guys to go out and do. I'm trying to encourage you. You be like Nick. You be like Ashley. And you guys be like you. But hey, be like Brie too. Love you. All right, I'm going to wrap this up. I don't know what time it is. I think the next
You got 2 minutes.
I got 2 minutes.
Questions? No.
Questions? I will open up the floor online and in here if you guys have any questions. No? We're good?
We're ending on that note.